Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome back, guys. Happy Monday. What a great way to start your week with Market Check, right? I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Chef Jackus. We should be getting the doctor and Max on for you as well here in a bit. But until then, I hope you've all had a great start to your week. Like I said, a great weekend. I always joke, right? And maybe for some of you, this joke is becoming redundant, but we like to joke about how hopefully, you spent a little bit of time away from the charts or really just relaxing, whatever you had to do over the weekend to kind of unwind a bit. For some of you, for some of me, that often is still looking at charts over the weekend. So either way, happy Monday. Looking forward to this week that we have ahead of us. And of course, all that it has in store. We don't have quite as much macro data, for example, but we do have obviously Jerome Powell speaking at Jackson Hole. We're probably going to get a bit more clarity as far as the mid time frame trends on things like Bitcoin and ETH, which should be exciting as well. And we're going to cover it all for you guys here and more. But you know what I'm about to say. Before we can do that, before we can start cooking and sharing all of that juicy alpha that we have cultivated for you guys over the weekend. And I always say Monday shows are the best because we've kind of been just simmering on alpha for a few days. We haven't been able to share it. Before we can share it with you, though, I'm going to need you to smash that like button for us. And I know it's in you. Last week, you guys, it's funny. It's kind of like we either get a ton of likes or you guys are just like, nah, I don't really feel like it, right? I'd love for today to be one of the days where you guys are really feeling like hitting the like button. But regardless, we're going to cook you guys up a delicious meal. We're going to cook up a storm. Let's get this week started off right. Yeah, exactly. Beat the like button's ass. I love the energy to start the show, man. I love it. But no, let's talk markets. Obviously, we didn't really have too much that occurred over the weekend, right? I want to say when we were talking about it on this morning's Discord call, Bitcoin and ETH were basically at the exact same price levels as when we closed on Friday. So there hasn't really been too much movement in the market. We're really kind of waiting for that directionality to be more more reflected, at least on Bitcoin and ETH, right? Because equity markets are once again green. It's kind of one of those like, okay, Bitcoin, okay, ETH, you can go when you feel like it. But as we know, crypto loves to catch up to equities in seemingly one candle. And that might be the case here again today. Right. But Bitcoin, and I hate to be the 25-year-old technical analyzer, but it is kind of like decision time soon. We're in the range post wipeout. We're either going to break higher here, really squeeze and probably even make, you have to imagine if Bitcoin breaks out of this range to the upside, it's probably going back to all-time highs. But there's also the flip side. If you break to the downside, where does that stop? Is it just a higher low, et cetera, et cetera? We're bringing you guys all the analysis that we've got for you and more. But unfortunately, we might come off a bit like the 25-year-old technical analyzer, I should say, today. But welcome, guys. Hope you have had a great start to your week. Let's go ahead and open the discussion, open the floor. I'd love to know what you guys are seeing in the markets today. Obviously, there is a lot going on, even still, right? We're probably 2 weeks post that flash crash caused by whatever you want to say it was caused by, right? The bull blowout, the Nikkei trade, yen trade unwinding, whatever. We had a blowout 2 weeks ago. There's still a lot of volatility present in many different markets, and it's being manifested in a variety of different ways. So what are you guys seeing in the markets this week? And is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to?
Can we highlight the Pepe comment there?
No, we already did. I highlighted it. I felt like I had to. But this is the comment, by the way, guys. I'll highlight it again because it is ever relevant, fortunately. I'm not going to look at the like button for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show, but best believe I'm going to be checking in. And if it's not up to standard, you're getting some soybeans. Maybe not even soybeans, because they're, I mean, at this point, guys, they've been conditioned. I think they like soybeans now, almost in like a self-hate sort of way. We got to find something that they really don't like to look at, like the Dollar General chart. I like when we pulled that one up that one day. Oh man. But yeah, no, what were you saying, Will?
I mean, I think we should go with oatmeal. Everybody likes oatmeal, right? Old people like oatmeal, so we should do oatmeal futures. But you can go ahead, Jack, because I know you were gonna jump in there real quick, and then I'll say my piece.
I feel like people are many times just waiting for the soybean chart to press the like button. Like they are, nope, I'm not pressing it until I see soybeans. I need it. Their favorite chart. But yeah, how was your weekend, guys? What did you do?
Does he even have real money?
my weekend was good, Jackus. I mean, I was doing a lot of like moving prep, which is always super exciting. But otherwise, I kind of just hung out with my lovely fiance, and yeah, we watched some cartoons, and it was a very laid back weekend. Can't ask for much more than that. I got to see my mom for a happy hour. That was fun.
Man, I will say this, and then I'll tell you how my weekend was. That comment is real. Like, I went to some of my family members and showed them some of my crypto, and they're like, "Those aren't real numbers. Those are fake numbers." I'm like, "What do you mean they're fake numbers? Like, it's not real unless you can put it in your bank account." I can put it in my bank account. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? I could sell it all today and put it in my bank account. What are you talking about? Yeah, I think people think that it's all fictitious, mumbo jumbo in crypto a lot of the time.
I love it when people say that crypto is a scam. It's just numbers on the internet, and then they go to their bank, which is legit just numbers, not backed by anything on the internet, and they're like, "No, these ones are real. These digital numbers are more real than your digital numbers." I'm like, okay.
if you have more than $10,000, go to the bank and try to withdraw your digital currency into regular paper currency and watch how hard it is.
Well, I legit did this. I went to a bank and I tried to withdraw 10k euros. Do you know what they told me? We do not have enough. Yeah. They legit did not have 10k euros at the freaking bank. It was a big bank. They did not have $2,000 on cash. I had to go to 2 separate banks to get 10k euros. And they are trying to tell me that my magical internet money isn't more real than theirs.
It's real, man.
The real red pill.
Yeah, actually, Rio's right on point. If you want to withdraw a substantial amount of money, you have to set an appointment, and they have to have the money delivered. They don't even have it. They don't even have it there. Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, my bank's backed by." It's not backed by shit. It's numbers on the internet. That's all it is. And you're exchanging numbers on the internet. That's what you're doing. It's the same shit as what we do in crypto. But yeah, my weekend was good. I kind of relaxed, watched the charts and watched the market. And I'll tell you, like, the scare back down scared a lot of people, man. But it is what it is. You got levels to break. You got levels to break above. You got levels to break below. We're playing right in the middle. We're diddling in the middle right now between the two of them. So market's got to make a direction. I would say this too, and then I'll kick it over to you. I know you got some stuff to say here, Jackus. It's more of a patience game here, and this is Monday. Never trust the Monday, right? If you go on a date on Monday, don't trust that date. If market's open on Monday, guess what? Don't trust the market. If you're going out to eat, don't trust that you won't get food poisoning on a Monday. Okay, Mondays are not good days. They tend to give the opposite direction of actual price action, and or they like to fake you out. But go ahead, Jackus. Or Snorlax.
No romancing on a Monday.
No romancing. Good to hear you guys enjoyed your break. I had my own, I relaxed at the mountains. I went with the nature. Very, very important. especially when I see people freaking out over a, lower time frame, range within a range, while nothing's really happening. Like seriously, we were here last week, we went higher, and now we are slow grinding down. Yeah, nothing I would like. I understand that we all want action. I want it myself. It's been frustrating, this time we've been, going like this since March, but yeah, nothing has changed from really last week. And I think people sometimes just need to step down, enjoy life a little bit, and come back with a fresh mind so that they can see things clearly. Because, and I had this in my past too, where you like are at home, nothing's happening, right? uh, your friends are not calling you, you're not going out with anyone, you're just like staring at the chart and you're like, all right, let's watch this article. No, it's too much. Let's watch the M15. Oh my god, we are so freaking over, like it's dumping. Come on, guys. Right? So I get it, but once you do enjoy life a little bit, you start focusing. You need to find the right balance. You need to find when there is a time to pay attention. You need to find time when there is a good time to step away, which doesn't mean like do not look at the chart at all. It doesn't mean do not look at the new data, which is important because we need to reassure ourselves. We need to check if something has changed or not. But I wouldn't be what I'm trying to stress or say is do not stress out over a lower time frame moves like this. Essentially, the the market really is just arranging here, sweeping some highs and lows and holding pretty well. I do not see much reason for us not to be sending higher soon, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that people should always never be 1,000% in, right? We can do 100, 1,000, 10,000, whatever you want to call it. I think that always have a little money to the side for slow days or rainy months. And, if you need to step away, go on a little vacation, have just enough to go on that little vacation so you can go and kind of air out your mind a little bit, step away from the timeline, pay attention to the charts, and kind of readjust your thinking or your thoughts so you're not sitting here like freaking out on days that are more difficult than others. And that's basically what I did, right? I did that over the other weekend, and I took some time out, and I had thought about it, and I completely destroyed my legs walking all day for like 24 hours, but it was all good.
You were about to say leg day.
No leg day. The sad thing is I did leg day like a day before, so I was still healing.
Oh man.
And so it made it 10 times worse.
I'll tell you what though, Will, that's how I know that you're a leg day respector, is when you respect your workout regimen enough that it doesn't matter if you're about to go on vacation, you're still hitting legs.
Yeah, you have to. Like, a lot of people don't understand growth, and growth revolves around whole body, not just part. But I would say this, like, that allows you the mental capacity to step back into the game and kind of readjust your thinking. Sometimes your thinking can be flawed a little bit because you're just sitting here day in, day out, like go up, go up, go up. That's all you're thinking in your head, right? But that's not how charts work. Charts work in the manner of or even maybe you're in a short, right? And you're like, go down, go down, go down. Charts work in the manner of the direction that they're pushing towards or that they're coming into, right? I always say coming into because like support is kind of like a landing pad. You're coming into it. And then, if you break it, now it's no longer a landing pad. It's basically a level that you're going to basically fall from until you hit the next support. But if you start to slow into support, that's a good sign. Just like if you start to slow into resistance, that's a bad sign, right? It means you're going to reverse more than likely. So, price action right now is kind of slowing into this support. We'll see if it can kind of hold. I do think that looking at this, it's kind of like a bull flag type play here. high time frame. I do like Pepe. I know somebody mentioned that earlier. I think Pepe is coming into a slowing into support also, as well as a few others. And I think that, air an opportunity from here. I think like the next leg for a lot of this, especially crypto as a whole, like this is the part of the market. This is it. This is where alts run with Bitcoin to the high, and an alt supersede Bitcoin at the high, right? So I think like really paying attention to your I guess your golden tickers, the ones you really are bullish on, is important here, and not losing positioning because of fear is important here for me. This again is why I deleveraged very little, and I just basically adjusted my position. I didn't go into cash at all.
Sounds good to me.
Spot for some of these meme coins, though, right? Like some of these memes look like they're probably not going to V out of these levels, but maybe the word you've been using recently, Will, I'm going to steal it here, the pit roll. Like I'm looking at something like a MOG, and that to me kind of looks like it needs some time to, like a bottom to roll out rather than just V recover into a new parabola. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. I think MOG's had an immense run here. I don't think it's done or cooked, but I do think like it'll probably go through a cool down phase for a little bit. But it all depends on like how it comes into support, right? If it comes into support and just like and I think that support could be lower, right? But if it comes into support and really kind of bounces off it hard, then we have to see if that's a bouncing ball effect, or if it's going to be like a bounce, hit the previous resistance and roll back over and then run back up again, or how that's going to fill out. It's always hard to tell like what exactly is going to happen. It just, I guess the biggest thing from a trader's perspective is knowing where you're coming into support, where you're coming into resistance. You don't know how long it's going to range there. You just don't. And I would say like always expect to bounce into support, especially on your first test, and then see if it'll come back and break that support or anything like that. Like it did kind of do that at the highs too. MOG was one of those that broke the support at the highs once with the wick, and then now it body candle below. And so now I think it's going to come into the previous liquidity zone and probably use that previous support as support now. So yeah, I think like it's hard to tell. Like if Bitcoin absolutely chads from here, I can see the whole market rallying with that. Right? Like if it goes like 80K, 90K or something like that, like I'm not saying it's going to do it in a day, but like if it starts moving that direction, then I think the whole market would rise with it. But if we continue to range, then yeah, I could see a lot of these continue to kind of cool down.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I think the thing that's kind of been something I've been pondering on, right, is that a lot of these altcoin charts need a lot of help, right? They need Bitcoin to hold their hand, but Bitcoin could, and it has before, obviously led the market out of downtrends, Bitcoin dominance runs, and then you start to see alts catch the bid again. But I look at some of these pairs against Bitcoin, for example, and ETH Bitcoin looks like it's, I mean, obviously, I think we're kind of all in the camp that ETH Bitcoin looks pretty bottomed here. And not in a, okay, we're going to call the bottom on every single swing low kind of way. But ETH Bitcoin does look like it's, I don't want to guarantee it, but it does look like it's bottoming here. The flip side of that, I think Solana plays a part kind of in this puzzle too, because we're used to seeing Solana show that outsized strength with Bitcoin whenever the market is ready to trend. And I look at things like Sol ETH, for example. Sol ETH looks weak. So I'm kind of in the camp here where I don't really know exactly how to feel, because I don't think that the ETH, I'm not really in the camp that ETH is about to lead the market to the upside, but some of these pairs make it seem like maybe that's the case, or maybe we're forming a shoulder here, right? Because ETH looks strong against Bitcoin, ETH looks strong against Solana. These are assets that have typically led us higher, but ETH looks stronger than both at the moment, at least as far as their pairs go. So what are we kind of thinking as far as that goes? Because I'm still skeptical that the market is going to run higher with ETH as the primary risk leader in the market, that would be a paradigm shift that we haven't seen really yet this cycle.
I mean, Solana's kind of in a tricky spot. Let me know. Actually, I got Jackus, if you want to share your info here first, and then I'll kind of cover some charts, or unless you're still working on your masterpiece here, then I'll share.
No, I'm just really making fun on the lower time frames and listening to you guys have a good conversation. And I'm just providing the graphics here for the audience. So you can keep on cooking. If you want to show chart, Will, then you can go for it.
Yeah, if we can kick it over to mine real quick. So this is kind of like my monstrosity, but my thoughts were kind of drag out. Go ahead. You got some
monstrosity? That's one of your cleaner charts, Will.
Basically, I've been looking at kind of structure here. You had your downtrend, obviously, right, with your uptrending RSI. You had your uptrend, and then you had your breakout of consolidation, and then you had your swing. Then you had kind of a dip into liquidity, previous liquidity, and then you came up here, dipped into previous liquidity, and then you came up, and now you're kind of playing the high. It reminds me very much of Bitcoin up here. Like Bitcoin looks very structurally the same, kind of playing the high up here, and we're seeing kind of something similar here for Solana. But the one thing I noticed is we continue to use this area, this purple box, as an area of support, an area of interest for price action for Solana, regardless of how deep Solana actually dips into it. This area continues to be respected as an area of price action. So until this is kind of disrespected, then if this gets disrespected, then I would say you're probably going to trend lower, right? But if not, then this continues to remain the support range for Solana as a whole. As you can see, there's a lot of support here. And obviously was previous support, previous resistance, so on and so forth. And I'm just expecting this kind of thing to kind of trade to the side for now, and then eventually just kind of rip off of this. Solana has had a very big run here. Like it had a big accumulation phase, right, which was right in here. Big accumulation phase, and then it had this massive run up, and now it's again I think, in my own opinion, I think this is again another accumulation phase. I don't think this is a distribution. Which is basically where they're pricing people out of a range, and then that range eventually becomes another leg that ends up going higher. So I think ultimately this right here, even though it's kind of dwindling down in price action, ends up being the breakout move for Solana. Wherever that may break, I don't know. Maybe Solana goes to 500, maybe it goes to 1,000. I don't know where the top is, to be honest with you. But I do know that this right here, to me, looks like support, and this thing continues to range. And I think that we're looking for a bigger swing here on Solana. Maybe even something like this, right? It's not as much as the original leg, but it's a good amount up. So maybe instead of all this, we get a swing up to maybe 500, something like that. Less of a leg, but a big leg nonetheless. And I think that's what a lot of people are not necessarily anticipating.
What does that mean for ETH?
I think ETH looks pretty good too. Like I took this apart this morning. I did a level by level analysis here, and I just kind of looked at where support and resistance lied, right? And it lies right in here. And this is like the biggest pivot point. This is exactly where we slapped into liquidity. And I think that this holds. I think this holds regardless of what happens to price. I think this holds. It's such a major point here in price for Ethereum, right? To resist and support here in the chart, that for me this is a really good spot where price basically came back, rebalance buyers and sellers, and then basically ran back up. Now here's the thing: you want to hold this, right? You want to hold this area right here, because if you lose this position right here, you can revisit this low, right, at 21, 22, somewhere's in there. But I do think that this area right here was your best buying opportunity from here. Again, this is just what I'm seeing. Obviously, I could be wrong, could be right on that. Not going to sit here and try and say, hey, this is the definitive thing that's going to happen, because traders are never 100% accurate. But I would say arguably as long as you remain above this 20, what is this? 2,500, something like that. Yeah, 2,500. You're in a safe zone. And if you break below 2,500, target lower pricing, or maybe even a deviation, right? Maybe I'm wrong and they deviate and they run. But ultimately, even with this being support, I would say still watch out for this becoming resistance, because this is a hefty zone. This is a big zone where liquidity kind of used this as support. They broke it, and now you could come into this range, trade back down, and that'll piss people off. So you have to be careful here. You have to be careful. At least being emotional on the move, right? If you're buying the low and it goes up and rejects, you know it is what it is. You already got the low. Yeah. But if you're up there buying at the high, looking for the breakout and it rejects, people's going to get pissed.
You know what they're going to do, Will? They're buying beta at the inflection point. So it's like, okay, well, the market has to go up or the beta is going to get incinerated, or the market, whatever. I mean, the market has to go down because I'm short beta, for example. And if it goes up, I'm wrecked. So, I mean, I feel like this is the way that people kind of approach things, because they're not really, people, I think, use majors more as a barometer for their beta more than anything now. And especially in this market, the last year and a half, that's just kind of how it's felt, right? And that's why I think we see these just disgusting altcoin washouts at the end of the day, while majors have, relatively speaking, maintained their uptrends with pretty reasonable drawdowns in between.
Yeah, and I've seen that. I know people are talking about coal. And look, every trader that I know, they're only as good as their last trade, maybe last two, right? Cole's made some pretty good calls lately, so not going to discredit him for that. But he's good until he misses, right? And that's how all of us are. All of us are good until we miss. And don't take everything that any trader tells you for basically as a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it with a grain of salt, right? Just understand that we're just giving you guys our perspective on the market. Doesn't mean we'll be right or wrong. Typically, you'll get higher percentage hitter traders and you'll get lower percentage hitter traders. But don't take everything as definitive from these bigger guys. Just because they have a big account doesn't mean that everything is definitive, that they can't flip. That's another thing too. That's always a possibility. But one thing I would say here with Bitcoin, and this is something that I find really interesting, is this 1-2, right? And this is the falling price action. You got falling price action, expect breakout. Falling price action, expect breakout. Rising price action, expect breakdown. Rising, breakdown. And I would arguably say we've got falling price action down and to the right, right? And this, to me, these two areas specifically, these are the only two areas really in the chart that this is occurring. It occurred here at the low, and it's occurring right now. Now, if it gets invalidated, hey, maybe Cole's right. Maybe we hit that 33, right? That mid mark that everybody's looking for, which is right here. I think it's more of an obvious level than what people are anticipating. And keep in mind, why is he targeting 33? He's targeting all the way back to the breakout. Why would that be indicative of a bullish market? It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. That'd be a bear market. That's a bear market. For us to get back down here, you're looking at like a drawn out sideways and to the right play. I don't think you're looking at blue. I don't think you're retesting that, because you've already had a capitulation event occur up here. When capitulation events typically happen. Now, here's the thing. This is where I would say he's right, if he's right, right? If this downtrend starts to trade this way, right? And then you got a rising channel. If you turn from a falling channel into a rising channel, then I would look for a big breakdown. That's how risings work. Rising, big breakdown. Rising, big breakdown. I mean, this is just simple TA. This isn't even anything complicated. You can look up these chart patterns. So because we haven't seen a rising pattern, I don't think there's a possibility that we just puke into a fall, right? A lot of people said the same thing, and I want to be clear about this right here. A lot of people were saying it's over, guys. Look out. We're targeting down here. We're going to fill this area right here. And they were looking for this. But what happened on this falling channel? Boom. That's what happened. You got to be careful with some of these calls. Like, I'm not saying that Zorn's going to be right or wrong, because that's not my place as a trader. I'm not here to judge other traders. So what I am here to say, though, is from my experience and my perspective, I don't think a falling price action channel is a channel that breaks down. I think it's a channel that breaks out. And so I'm going off of what TA has told me historically, time and time again. A broken clock is right twice a day, right? I tend to try to be right more than a broken clock. So I go off of what the patterns tell you. Patterns would be right more than twice a day. Atypically, they're a high percentage hit chance.
Well, I think that entertaining 33K is really stupid right now. I think, like, I do not want to aim at anyone. I just want to state the facts. Entertaining 33K right now is probably just an engagement grab. Like, he's trying to bring attention to his persona, just like Capo has been doing at the bottom, and we know, or like the entire bear market, and we know how that ended. I'm not like.
What do you
not
think
even
about
care.
Capo being bullish here, Jack? Sorry to interrupt you, but I felt like I had to ask.
He had to flip
like
at
he was bullish the entire time. The past few, like, I do not even know, and I'm not trying to. I do not think he has a relevance anymore, because his persona ran out of steam with the up move we had since the bottom, and these personas being a counter signal is only good when they are trending, I would say. But personally, I do not pay or like include them in my decision making at all, because, or like very little weight, because it's just a show. Like, they are not playing the market; they are playing the Twitter game. That's a different type of game than playing in the market. And so entertaining 33K is irrelevant, because even if we are to entertain a bearish idea, you have a 43K giant support ahead. So if you're entertaining 33K, you're just basically saying like these levels will not matter and we will just break down, which is, in my opinion, a complete bullshit. So
I agree.
If we are to entertain any bearish idea, which we totally can, I do not think it plays out, but if it were, then I think it's down to 3K. And from there, it's a giant support, which I think would turn around the price anyway. But yeah, that's just the reality of things. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. What were you? Is that what you were saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you with the capo talk.
Me?
No, it did. I wanted to make sure that you said everything that you were going to say, and I didn't derail you with the capo question.
I don't know. I hope I said everything, but I always like I always feel like, hey, I'm gonna take a note here, and I'm just gonna start writing notes, because I always have something to say, or like I feel like, hey, this is an interesting idea to talk about, and then I forget it as we speak. Right? It's just so annoying.
Well, I will say this. I like how you pointed out it's the Twitter game. A lot of people don't understand the difference. There are a lot of people on Twitter engagement farming. Why? Because they get a paycheck to do so. So why not? Millions of clicks and views equals hundreds of thousands of dollars for them. So they will tell you wrong direction for a reason. Why? Because they know that you know the right direction. They know it'll piss you off. And that's the thing that a lot of people, and what will you do when you get pissed off? You're going to go to their post and make your point. And then you're probably going to get blocked. And then everybody else is going to say you're a genius because he hit a couple. But here's the thing. A lot of the time when you're seeing shit on CT from a lot of traders, it's usually opposite direction of what they're actually thinking. And they're doing this because they're trying to play against the market not play against the market with money, but play against the market's mentality, right? It's a mental game on Twitter. So like you can't trust everything you see on there because a lot of it is just it's a psyop, right? What is the psyop? The psyop is keeping you engaged. How do you keep them engaged? You add a timer, right? You give a ridiculous price, whether it be to the downside or upside. You talk about super cycles. These are things that keep people engaged because they keep you coming back because you're like, this guy knows everything. I'm going to keep on clicking, keep on clicking. Your engagement is giving them free money. That's essentially it. Like a lot of these guys are throwing $500,000 trades on. Why? Because they made $300,000 from Twitter, right? From your engagement. They made another, I'd say $1 million off of their trading group that they have. And they have all these sources of revenue that they're using to put on these trades to try and flex in front of you that they probably opened and then closed subsequently 5 minutes later, just so they can bait you. And this is what a lot of people don't get with this space. It's all fugazi, whatever you want to call it, right? It's all just bullshit. There are very few traders who are in here giving actual analysis and giving real time, information, without asking you to join, this or that. Like we give a lot of free alpha without like trying to bait you guys. We literally just tell you exactly what we see. It's not a clickbait. It's not an engagement farm. None of that shit. None of that ever matters.
I said it's debate.
So as long as you keep that factor in mind, you'll be fine. Like step away from the Twitter feed sometimes, but I would say just looking at chart patterns right here, this is a falling channel. It's a bullish channel for me. I like it. I would say another thing to kind of pay attention to, just to kind of support this thesis. Anytime you get a big capitulation, you get moves like this. Big wick, right? Big capitulation. Big wick, right? Big wick. Big wicks right here. So that's typical of capitulation. And where are you seeing these wicks? Bottom, right? Bottom, wick, bottom. And again, we're kind of in that same scenario right now. More than likely bottom, even if price were to go a little deeper. The wicks are the buy, they're the interest, they're the market, they're the market interest. Once you start seeing the wicks, you came into active buyers, essentially. Active buyers when you start seeing heavy wicks, and we're starting to see those active buyers activate at these levels. So even if price were to go deeper, I think there's a lot of active buyers in these ranges. So not too fearful from here. Another one we were talking about too, Tommy. Just saying.
Yes, we were. I think this is going to be alpha when we look back on it, man. This chart to me looks the best of all the Chinese stocks that I was taking a look at. I think it's probably going to be one of those things that takes a few months to slow grind up, but by the end of the cycle, whenever that is, right? By like 2026, by the end of 2025, who knows? I think this is at least going back to all-time highs, though. I really do. And it's not like that should come completely out of left field either. Who was it? It was GCR that said the next bull run will come from China. A lot has been made about the eventual easing that the Chinese government is kind of going to inject into its markets. We just haven't seen it really reflect in their prices just yet. I think that's probably something that you do end up seeing reflected over probably the next few years. But yeah, Baba has to be like, if any chart is going to be poised to benefit from that, it has to be Alibaba.
Tommy, did you also know that Michael Burry actually bought shit tons of Alibaba lately?
Did he really?
Yes, like he got rid of lots of US technological stocks and bought different ones, of course, because there's always some bull market, right, in some of these stocks. And he bought shit tons of Baba.
I can't blame him. The chart looks amazing.
And physical gold.
Physical gold. Well, I mean, that's better than paper gold, right?
He bought like a stocks of a company that buys physical gold. So it's like a stock, he like got the exposure by stock, but it's actual physical gold.
So the thing about like, I assume he's buying physical gold because, I mean, a lot of hedge funds are already doing that. There's probably some recession fears, whether it's now or in the future. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm unsure of where Chinese equities play a role, right? It's like they're not exactly correlated to U.S. markets. Are they going to sync up and all send together, or is it going to be one of those things where American equities enter a downtrend or range, and then we see Chinese equities catch a bit? I am not familiar enough with the market to be able to know, but I do know the BABA chart looks phenomenal. And I do think that probably by 2025, you'll start to see it ripping higher.
It's not just BABA though. There's other Chinese stocks that look really good right now. I would say like they're probably coming into their economic boom. Sabri said it looks like a rising wedge, which he said is bearish. So yes, this is not actually a rising wedge. This is actually a pennant, is what I would call this. So that would be more like a pennant. And technically, if you weren't already on the floor, if you were up here, I would be like, yeah, that's very bearish. But because you're on the floor, again, you retapped your basically market lows of BABA, right? Like you can't get any cheaper than this. And you hit these lows and now you're kind of bouncing off. BABA is a very good company for those who do or do not know. And I don't think they're going anywhere. They're behind a lot of, they're behind a lot of, no, I don't know about Baba Yaga, but they're behind a lot of companies and they back a lot. But I would take this more of a higher low structure, right? Even though it's a compression move. What is a compression move? It's a move that's within a wedge that's compressing. And typically, if this were a downtrend and we were somewhere in here, I would think we're getting another lay down. But because we're in a downtrend and we already hit our low, I would say we're veering up for something like this, right? So this is, again, just comes with experience because not every wedge plays out the same. Not every rising comes out the same. But I will say this, if you're looking at channels and you were looking for the signs before the fall over, again, just what I was discussing right here, boom, channel, boom, control price action, and that was bearish, right? That was bearish. So, and you did get a kind of a peak out of the channel a little bit here, and the second you came back in, it was over, and then price kind of took a downturn from there. So once you start to break down from these channels, you have to be highly, highly cautious that these things are not going to recapture price and more than likely going to continue to trend down. And so, again, channel proving itself again and falling over from price action.
Actually, I might add a little bit to the discussion because with Baba Yaga, because I am actually surprised, guys. You guys do not want soybean chart today, guys. You guys do not want the soybean chart, which I'm surprised and proud of. You guys are smashing it, and because of that, a rare JKS Alpha gonna appear.
Wow.
But this is the Baba Yaga chart, and I absolutely love, like, I looked at this chart just without the schematic, right? But it's basically the Wyckoff one, and it does work on like the daily and weekly time frames. That's where you want to look at it, not obviously on like H4 or anything, but here we have the 3D, we have the weekly basically playing out, right? And what you get is like a, you get a deep, steep bear market, right? That bear market gets broken out, but then you get the sweep of the lows. Where does it happen? It happens at its all-time low area, right? Which is a significant. It says that you had the initial run up, you come back to retrace, and here you want to see reaccumulation. It's basically like a shit coin, right? But it's obviously one of the biggest shops in the world anyway. But what happens here is that you get the sweep and then you get the reclaim. When you had the reclaim, you are getting strong volumes on these moves. Look at here, right? That's the bottom. Look at the volume here, right? Look at the volumes on these up moves, right? This is the first where the Wyckoff accumulation starts, and you get a strong, because it's not just about like the graphics of the pattern, it's also about the volume. You had the largest volume right here when the Wyckoff starts, right, on this one, because that's where smart money is buying. It's not like buying only down here, it's like buying through this entire time. And they need to be buying like they are doing these aggressive buys, right? They will buy, then they'll stop the bid and they'll let the price bleed down, then they will buy again. What are you seeing here, right? You see volume on each on these buys. So what is happening is that smart money is accumulating this entire time. Here they are just TWAPing obviously this whole time. This is going to be their price range. They'll make an average entry, whatever, right? Whatever, where is the peak of the volume? We could maybe we can put in the fixed volume range here on it, and you see that the peak volume is actually down here, all the way down here. And so they are looking to make an average price. And then when this market starts trending, this is where all of them bought. Right here is when the range is established. Guess what's happening here, right? You come back in a slow bleed types of fashion. You come back to the range lows, right? And you break another downtrend, right? Here was another one, and you break it again. So this is where we are right now. And what you want to see is basically this market. And it doesn't have to go like straight from here, right? And doing like this. And this is what you would probably see on CT. But it can happen where they like produce another one here, right? They pump it on a strong volume again. They sweep these highs. You'll see another belly down. This is totally possible. When this happens, this doesn't mean to cheat. You need to understand the higher time frame game, and you look to get entry again, and then they can do it, right? So this is probably how it unfolds. I do not know if it like takes this entire time, but what you should know is that these are like the buys you wanna make for the next few years. And then people will look at stuff like AMD and be like, oh my god, I wish I bought down here. Well, guess what? That's where Alibaba is right now, right? It had the first run, it came back to the base. At the base, it is
I like
now
this.
yeah, it is now accumulating, and then you're gonna get this one. What you do not know if you are like right here or right here, or if it's going to take longer, because it totally could. It's just gonna wait down there until perfect conditions trigger it for the bull run, and then you'll be the guy that buys this, right? So this is what's happening
Yep.
on Baba right here. And again, I do not know if it like starts going straight from here. It probably doesn't. Sorry, some echo from Will, I think. Yeah, thank you. And so they can pump it right here. This is what I probably see happening, right? So they'll pump it here. This is time to take partial profits, let it slow bleed down, accumulate the same profits, buy back in again. Then if you see this, you can add more, and then the bull market should begin. And this chart should hit anything like 4 digits probably, and you are looking to make 1000% on a very safe bet here. This is how you play being smart money, and this is, by the way, the alpha we guys share here, right? So anyways, yeah, you guys deserved it for pressing the like button early. I do want to condition you to start doing this, guys, because if I'm not pleased, you will not see this. But if I am pleased, I can decide and randomly jump in. Anyways, back to you guys, as I'll be leaving in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would say with the Baba discussion, especially, like a lot of these like people aren't even looking at them, man. Like we are legit coming in here dropping you guys bottom feed type plays. Like you're literally catching bottom. I mean, if it's 1000x from here, imagine what a call position would look like on that in 6 months. It would be absolutely astonishing.
I think this is one to play towards like the end of 2025. Honestly, I one of those. I love the pattern. I talk about it all the time, but like altcoins after May of 2021, layer ones, study those patterns, guys, because I mean that's the type of structure you should be looking for. It's a big high time frame pit roll, Will. A high time frame pit roll after you've broken a parabolic market structure, and it does, it shows you that the big leg probably hasn't occurred just yet. At least, I mean, I would assume for Baba it probably hasn't, but at least for these L1s in crypto, their big leg occurred more so in Q3 or Q4 of 2021. But if you look at their market structures in May and then the summer of 2021, obviously they had the massive capitulation candles from leverage rinses. So it's going to be a bit more volatile looking than what Baba is doing right now, but it's effectively the same thing. You have a massive market structure breaking sell-off. You have a reaccumulation phase. You have a slow grind up out of that reaccumulation phase, and then you trend again. And I think that's probably exactly what Baba is going to end up doing.
Yeah, in addition to that too, IWM looks really good. DXY looks absolutely cooked. Like dollar, bro. Pull the dollar jackets real quick. Oh man,
it's almost at the point where I'm about to delete the dollar off my watch list because I'm fully expecting it to just literally break down from here.
Yeah,
it might not even. I really thought it would bounce to like 104 before it did this, but maybe not.
Yeah, dollar looks like it's gonna break down big time. Like the last line in the sand is $1, and then you start trending down hard. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty nasty drop when that starts occurring. I like Sui here too. I think Sui looks pretty good.
Will, do you know who High Stakes Capital is?
No.
He's basically a Bybit ape with a lot of money. We'll refer to him like that. But he posted over the weekend from his account that he went super long Sui, like 9-figure long on Sui, because he thinks Trump is going to be elected president. I'm like, look, man, we know you have a gambling addiction, but you don't have to justify it with Donald Trump being elected as the reason behind an altcoin sending. But I mean, I understand it to some extent. I want to say the NASDAQ has been correlated to Trump's odds since the 2022 bottom, which is pretty interesting, actually. But still, I mean, it's funny to justify a Sui long of all things with politics.
You want to see some funny stuff? Remember last week when we discussed Giga Chad?
Oof. I do remember that. It looks like Pepe after it topped, right? Like
remember when I said this was the top? Remember when I said this was the top up here and it was just the wick on this candle? And then look, right down to where we targeted. And again, it's like, this is just TA, even on a shitcoin. Even on a shitcoin, it's just simple TA. Look for support. Boom. Tapped it. Literally tapped it and bounced. Now, can they reverse off of here? That's the question, right? Or are they going to deviate below? Like Pepe deviated below. So arguably, I would say you'll probably see some kind of deviation here with Giga. Something similar to what Pepe did. But I would say this too. Follow the bull flag, right? Follow the bull flag. So if Pepe is going to bounce anywhere, it's going to be here. It's going to be here. So this, I posted it quite a few different times on the show. We're there. We're at targeted lows. This is where it's got to go. If it doesn't go from here, I don't know if it's going to go at all. Right? This is where it has to go. So that's, again, I think this is prime pricing here for Sui. Let's see what else we got here. Brett's another one.
Am I really about to get hurt by Sui again, Will? I don't know if I can handle that a second time.
I'm just calling it, man. I'm calling it like I see it, man. I'm not getting played by this market.
Hey, Giga Chats, I gotta run. It was a good stream.
See you, Jagged.
See ya.
We'll see you.
See ya.
DXY looking really good right here. I mean, this is where we were talking about DXY falling out, right?
One in, one out, baby.
What's up, Tucker?
Man, look at that. We got Tucker.
One in, one out.
This is where we were saying the dollar was going to break down, and then look, cooking right into the range, cooking right into it. And then I'll give you guys like my really high time frame thesis with dollar. It involves Sam Bankman-Fried, but this is it. This is it. Study.
No,
Okay, study.
Oh man,
This was the top for the dollar.
Will, have you been seeing all the you know who Ryan Salami is, right? I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he's had some interesting tweets on the matter as of late. Just talking about like FTX and their whole group. It's not really that relevant, but I felt it like you guys should just go read through his feed. It's been pretty.
Wait, what has he been saying? What has he been saying? Was he the one that said Caroline is more guilty than Sam or something?
Yeah. He's been just dropping some little tidbits here and there that I think are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He also said the book by who is the one who was writing the book on FTX? He said that was the most accurate account, not fully correct, but like the most accurate account of what happened at FTX. Sorry, I just wanted to interject that point.
No, I think the whole FTX debacle is interesting, for sure. It like I would say, you know, if you were in charge of any amount of money, you knew what the hell was going on. You should be just as guilty as everybody else, and all of you should see the same prison sentence.
Yep.
Especially if you didn't say anything. But you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, somebody's got to be the supervillain. Somebody's got to be the, you know. I was a victim, so.
Wait, guys, is this a new background we've got going on? This is pretty sweet.
I noticed it too. I think Jack has put it on.
Because
I look up and all of a sudden the background is black. I'm like, oh, it's new.
Kind of nice.
So
this
the best copy pasta.
I know.
But you forgot the last part of it, Pitbox, which is life has dreams, each is wonderful.
Yeah.
This is a pretty interesting chart, though. I mean, look at how perfectly channeled this is, Tommy. The dollar.
It's over for the dollar.
Tell me it's not manipulated, man. Tell me it's not manipulated. Rising bear flag for the dollar, guys. Rising bear flag. Study.
The real bull market starts when that flag breaks down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your 10-year cycle. That's your 2000. I bought a house. I bought 3 houses, and now I'm millions and millions of dollars richer, right? In 2021. This is the beginning of your super cycle, your scenario where you should just be bidding assets in general.
Oh, you're on the monthly, huh, Will?
Yeah, that's high time frame, man.
I mean, it looks pretty terrible today.
That's years.
On like the daily. It looks horrible.
But look at this, bro. This is a monthly. Like, how many years is the dollar going to lose value?
A lot. The rest of the decade, that's for sure.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I will say this: somebody to do a super chat for Dodo and Bobo. I don't know if you want to entertain that, Haggard. I know you like those charts.
I'm not a Dodo or Bobo. Wait, they did a super chat for it?
Yeah, they did do a super chat for it.
I'd have to do it live, but you know we can do that. Hold up.
Dodo, Bobo.
Tucker's good at looking at these new charts.
Sneeboo.
I know it's not new, but
no, those are like the only 3 that I've never owned, really. What do you say, Tommy?
Sneeboo might be my favorite one to say out loud.
By name, yeah. By name.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here we go. You guys are gonna have to help me find them on TradingView, but well, first,
how you spell Bobo is B-O-B-O.
Hold on. First, I just wanted to point out that I think this looks somewhat heavy. Okay. I think inverted ETH looks somewhat heavy, and that it might want to maybe pull a little BART action. You see it, Tommy? I know you see it. I know you see it.
I see something else, but I'm not going to say it.
I can see it
No,
retesting
It also
higher.
does not fit my bias.
Look, I see that. I understand. We are consolidating above range highs.
I can see it
or
retesting higher. Those are
below
higher
range
lows.
highs. I see that as
Now
well.
lower highs.
But this to me just feels a little heavy, you know. Maybe the daily's better. We'll
I
find
can
a
see
time
them
frame
filling the
before
wick
that.
and then coming back and getting heavy.
Yeah, I could see maybe you getting like here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Always invert to check your bias, boys. Always invert. It's a good time. Because the reason I'm saying that is because I did it with Soul yesterday in the group chat. And let me just remove the drawings.
So Azer says BNB is pumping. Don't worry, we won't forget Bubba and Dodo.
Like, would you bid this chart? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, if this was red, you know, there's your resistance. Like, Tommy, I know you would have shorted this deviation for sure. For sure.
I don't know, man. I mean, I probably would have, but I also don't know if I think that's a super bullish or super bearish looking chart, right? That kind of reminds me of the ETH bottom from, I want to say like June of 2022, a little bit.
Yeah. I know, because of, you know, you got this.
I do have some alpha though that I want to drop since we're already doing a live. I will say this: CZ is about to get out of jail, and what chain does nobody talk about?
BNB.
BNB. Keep your eyes on it. Not BNB itself. The beta. Watch.
What's beta to BNB?
I don't know. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. I got a dumpster dive, bro.
Wait,
I don't know. I haven't been in that ecosystem, but I'm gonna start digging because CZ's getting out of jail.
Did you highlight this one? Is that what you just?
Yeah, that was what I highlighted.
Yeah,
it's true. I'll tell you what a lot of altcoin charts look like to me cyclically. If you guys, after we do Bobo, I'll tell you guys. I actually think it's a pretty nice bit of alpha.
Yeah,
looks very similar to the last drop, where it kind of squiggles down into that like tightening phase and then rips.
Yeah.
Share it.
I
don't know.
A little bit. I mean, it doesn't look that great, you know.
It needs more green days for sure.
Looks like a lot of the boys club charts. Like some of them look better than this, obviously, but I would just want to see kind of, you know, the classic Will's outlook pattern, right? Like kind of just
death. When it dies, I start diving.
Yes. Where would you dive into this one, Will? Like down there?
Right, exactly. Well, I'd wait for the sideways move.
Yeah.
And then I'd start diving. If it doesn't sideways, I just wouldn't buy it.
Wait till it stops going literally straight down and then
yeah, as soon as it starts trading sideways, I would be like, all right, I'm in. Take my money.
Is this the right dodo? It can't be, can it?
That's dodo,
no.
That's ETH though. Do we have
Is it on base? USDT? Wait, this one might be right.
Nobody wants to buy the Black Swan token. Shocker.
Yeah.
The Black Swan token. Imagine we get a Black Swan and it just like super bids.
I've thought about that. Like, could some of these memes be a safe haven, like a hedge, low key? I mean, what's the marginal downside for Dodo if the market's gonna? It looks like it's at support. Could this be like a short? Could just long?
I mean, I like this little thing. I mean, yeah, like you're cooked, right? Like you You get in the sideways though. Like this is what old Will would look for. This is
Yeah, I could go a little deeper though. I'd give it a couple more humps or a flat line. If flat lines, that'd be interesting.
Could pit roll maybe.
Pit roll.
That's my favorite, Will.
I have to add that to the BB bingo card.
Pit roll.
Just pit rolls to the floor real quick.
I mean, yeah, a lot of these boys. Let's look at the. Hold on, though. Actually, let me just.
Booty bandit. I'm not coping. You're coping. Oh shit!
I think you're gonna need to see that out of this chart too. The Pepe Brett Andy Wolf equal weighted chart, right? Like you need to see just some of that. So what that implies to me across the board is that we're just going to need some time to recover on a lot of these charts because they're just beaten down, guys. Beaten down.
So when the pumps stop happening and the chart starts moving sideways, what that means is that sellers have now exhausted themselves and buyers have found a floor. That's why you want the sideways action. You don't want to catch these things absolutely just like falling directly into your face.
BNB.
You know what? You know where I think a lot of these altcoin charts are, not including BNB? Go to the Solana chart for me, Tucker. Zoomed out.
Slightly concerning. Anyway.
Slightly concerning. Bro.
All right. So you're looking at the previous cycle on Sol. And I actually think log mode is necessary for this.
Oh,
so you're gonna have
wow.
Loggles. That's what I'm going to call them now, the loggles.
The loggers.
No, there are so many altcoin charts, in my opinion, that are at that summer 2022 consolidation on Solana. Like, I mean, they don't have to go. You know what I'm talking about, Will? Like, so okay, I don't even really know how to say it, but the consolidation Solana had the summer of 2021, where it was consolidating from 21 to $45
right there.
A lot of altcoins are using kind of that confluent sort of consolidation and structure as support right now. And I think you have a lot of altcoin charts that are probably where Solana was in the summer of 2022, right? Where they were holding it, but they didn't quite have the requisite strength to be able to bounce just yet. So could they go lower? They could. I think if they do, you already have a playbook for what's going to happen. But most of these altcoins have basically hit support or the level that they are going to be reaccumulating at. So I think, like, if you were to just overlay Solana from basically May or April of 2021 to the present, I think you would see a lot, like, just overlay it on something like TIA on top of Tau. Some of this cycle's trending alts. I think you kind of have a blueprint for what you might expect here over the next few months. And I do think that does mean that a lot of these altcoins are hitting reaccumulation ranges, or that they have already, some of them have already hit a bottom.
I for sure on Tau, you're right. I was looking at that the other day.
It lines up really, really cleanly with Tau. I will say.
Like, so you're saying here?
No, I think we had what you just pointed out. We are in the summer of 2022 for a lot of these altcoins, where they are like, they've either bottomed or they're like literally about to bottom. So structurally, you can see what I'm
you're saying they're here?
Yeah.
Dear God.
We might have already had the wick though, right? Like Tau already wicked below that structure. Sol's kind of an exception because last cycle it went way deeper within its own structure. But I just think, like, generally that's probably, like, you should be beginning to see accumulation ranges form around these prices.
Yeah, like this is what what happened if FTX didn't happen. This is almost like Black Swan territory for Sol.
For Sol, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I see that pattern across a bajillion altcoin charts right now. I really do.
So that's a gigabit, right?
Soon. I also think it means you have a little bit of time at these prices too. For
Wait,
alts,
we should put this on log too. Yeah, it looks better on log for sure.
But I'm actually interested in buying some Tau this time around. For those who have been here for a long time, you don't know, or you probably do know. Tucker and I absolutely fumbled the pico bottom of Tau, and the
it was literally like here. It was like $40. Yeah.
I don't think we had the patience for it, and I think we were probably skeptical about the unit cost bias on it. At least I was.
I was too, yeah. I mean, we would have pulled what, like a 20x. That would have been nice, but you would have had to wait like you would have had to wait 6 months. I don't know. For it to even move, yeah.
Like a year for it to top.
Yeah.
My dopamine receptors are already fried, guys. I can't wait 2 years.
No.
Good lesson though.
I mean, I think you'll probably get that like resurgence of utility at some point in like Q4, Q1, but it probably goes to like say, and you probably get some revive. Like, what were the old AI winners of Q1? It was like Tau, FET, Render. Like, you probably get a resurgence in those, plus probably some shiny new tickers that are worth a bid, most likely.
Oh no, Tucker, do you see this recent comment?
What do you think of Pendle, Tommy?
Oh no. You don't want my honest thought on Pendle. I think it's fried though. I'll be honest with you, brother. That's coming down more.
Tommy, you know the funny part? I'm not gonna out him, but I talked to a really smart guy, right? Really smart guy. A lot of money. He said Pendle is really good tech. He's like, but they're too late. He's like, the golden era for Pendle is already over.
I agree.
There's no point in it. And he's a market maker, all that stuff like that. He said there's no point in investing in Pendle. He's like at some point somebody will come out and do it better. So he said there's just no reason to touch it.
It's just like the newest version of ETH DeFi yield Ponzi, right? Like that's what Pendle is. That's kind of what ENA is. Obviously, ENA never got the pump that Pendle did, but I'm kind of in the camp that I'm with who you spoke to, Will. It's to me it looks like a Ponzi that ran out of buyers, and now the market structure looks like it's at least going to round trip this pump. But I also don't think that has to be like a death sentence for ETH necessarily. But I am also just not that bullish on Pendle. So I don't know that there's anybody like me, Jackus, and Will are all pretty bared up on Pendle, I think. Interestingly enough, but yeah, I think the structure on this one looks pretty cooked. And if you take the loggles off, it looks even worse.
The loggles.
I'm trademarking that.
Now keep in mind that the guy I talked to, right? He's a pretty big DeFi farmer guy too. So like he knows his shit when it comes to like farming DeFi, and he's like it was good. He's like, but the era of Pendle is pretty much done. Right. It's almost like the people that got into Time Wonderland when it was good, and they were like, yeah. This is a great pick. And then, all of a sudden that shit went to south really quick and just never stopped.
Talking to two of them, Will. You're talking to two of them.
Yeah. That was my favorite token last cycle. I was such a time maxi, but it's hard not to be when you're getting. I loved updating my CoinGecko portfolio every 8 hours with my own rewards, man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my token holdings are down. Well, I'm about to add that much more in yield, so I don't really care. But I remember, I don't know if you guys remember when Ohm, it was when all that 9.9 stuff was going on, like 9.9.
How greedy can you be, man?
I know.
9.9 is insanity.
Shows the peak of Ohm anymore, but
No, you can't. Yeah.
There was a candle. I don't know if you remember the day, but like Ohm dropped from, I think it was around $1,000 and it dropped almost 80% in a day.
Yeah, I do.
And it rebounded it rebounded probably like 3/4 of the pump. But I remember when that happened, I was like, okay, this thing is about to collapse. I need to get out ASAP. I sold that.
Once you see that first shakeout, it's your flag. It's your red flag. It's like, okay, they bought it back up. This is my exit. I'm not going to be one of these people caught in this shit. Like a lot of people think that buying, like in 2021, it was always the thesis, oh, they bought it back up, so it's fine. And then people would continue to hold. It's like, bro, you just dropped 90% in an hour, and they bought it back up.
That was a freak dump, man. That was like a telltale sign that the music on Ohm was stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you see moves like that, move on. Just move on. Like, there's no point in like staying in that shit. Like, just get out, unlock, get out, get away from it.
That was such a Ponzi too, the flywheel on it, because like people would just buy and stake. You just take supply out of the market, so there was no liquidity, and it was just so easy for them to just send price higher. And nobody wanted to dump their rewards because you could compound your rewards so much by just not selling. And it was literally like, that's the perfect example of prisoner's dilemma reflected in a market, right? It's like two parties incentivized, like they will benefit more if they work together, but they're not really able to communicate. And then when shit hits the fan, they're probably not going to end up working together. And that was exactly what happened with Ohm.
Yeah, there was a big thesis in 2021 of buy the rug, right? These projects would get rugged, and when I say rugged, I don't mean like pulled liquidity, but like rugged, as in like dumped completely to the floor, and then people would bid it right back up, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's fine, see," and that was more towards the end when they were just basically washing people. It's like you would see them rug that shit all the way back down. And then after they wrecked everybody sold the bottom, they buy back in and push the number right back up. And everybody would buy back on top of the God candle. And then all of a sudden they would just dump you again. Like that's how you knew the market was over. They were washing the end.
I knew the market was over when I bridged to near. Not even joking. The Phantom, Harmony 1, Atom, and near rotation. After Solunavax, I'm like listening to myself try to get hyped for buying these tokens, and I'm like, it's over, man. It's over.
Bro, yeah. Luna Infinite Upside, when I started hearing that, I knew it was over. Like Luna was the red flag for me. It was legit the red. Like when everybody got into the belief stage that Luna could never come down, it could never retrace. And this was everybody across the board said Luna's not coming back. That's it. I was like, okay, this market's absolutely good. And they were buying Bitcoin. I was like, when I was telling people too, I was like, algos are not good. Algos can be played and manipulated. And like once somebody figures out your algo, they can completely thrash your market. And once they figured it out, man, they just started tanking Luna, and then they started selling Bitcoin, and it started tanking Luna and selling Bitcoin, and then you just had this cascade where they were just pulling each other, ripping each other to the downside. And then eventually he sold all the Bitcoin and then pocketed it and tried to run.
Apparently a lot of the Bitcoin that the Luna Foundation had was obtained through like crime, and they tried to use Jump to hide it more, which is another reason why you're probably going to see Jump get raided here by the feds pretty soon. They've been trying to clean house lately on all of their inventory.
Yeah, they're not selling because they're bearish. They're selling because they're trying to hide the evidence.
They're selling because they're criminals, Will. That's what they're selling.
They're like, if we get it out and put it somewhere else, they can't take it from us.
Guys, it's over, man. It is over. We are cooked. Oh, $300 sold by October, guys.
Oh,
this guy.
Study this. Study the fact that this looks like a shoulder, man. Look at it. Just observe. This is, I mean, come on now. This is you know.
No, I like it. I like it. I mean, if you draw a line across that shoulder all the way across, you're at resistance, right? AKA support.
Like, I just think it looks a little shouldery, you know. Just it looks a little bit like that shoulder, you know. You got the bounce and then kind of a grind and then boom, boom. Right. We need a little boom action. The upside, though.
Somebody does need to make this on Polymarket. I would bet on it. Jump to be rated by the feds by the end of September. I bet on it. And this is all a joke. If you're jump trading and you're watching this is all completely a joke, and I don't mean any of it.
We love
literally.
You. Yeah, we love you.
I would bet on it though if the bet existed. Man, oh man.
Whatever.
I love nostalgia from the last bull market, man. I know for new participants they're like, what the hell are they talking about? But if you were around back then, you know exactly what we're talking about. And you're probably reminiscent a little bit too.
It's a good time to reminisce. I mean, it was glorious. Like we had this, man. We had literally this.
I wasn't even around for that, man. I missed that part.
You missed that part?
I bought my first crypto like the very end of December. I bought ETH, and then it went up like 100% in a week. And I said, "Oh, this crypto thing is pretty cool."
You want to see a crazy chart?
Put
in BTC Sol.
What I'm gonna do?
No, other way.
There you go.
Other way.
I inverted it for you, Will.
BTC Sol.
Why? It doesn't even have the pair.
It does have the pair.
I think Sol BTC is about to do. I will say that.
Go ahead and draw your support.
Sol looks terrible against both majors right now.
Oh, this is interesting, Will. This is interesting. Again, I gotta change my colors back because I changed them, but there's the chart. Tommy, what do you think about that, huh?
It looks like the Sol bottom on USD. That little range that Bitcoin that it's in. Does that make sense?
I think it's very interesting here.
So what does
I think Sol BTC looks super bearish, so this chart makes sense to me.
Kick it to my stream real quick.
Hang on. I will. Give me. So it only really bottomed during a bear market year. So this is kind of, well, it did bottom here and then we had a ripper, but that was crime. So yeah.
Ooh, it's crime.
Look, all I'm saying is, I don't know, man. I don't know if Bitcoin goes lower. That's a pretty interesting chart.
I'm going to reiterate. I think Sol looks terrible against both Bitcoin and ETH right now.
I think you could hug the floor here and probably keep up pace with Bitcoin, but outpacing it right now, I don't know. You got to break that support, and we haven't even seen a tiny bit of interest in breaking that support yet. Not even a wick.
I mean, okay.
And look at your RSI.
Look, okay. I'll say this. Well, look at this real quick. This needs to be observed.
I'm not bearish on Sol. I'm just saying.
No. I know. I'm not bearish on this chart, right? Like this chart is bullish. Like I agree with you.
Like if Bitcoin's got a 3x, then Sol's got a 3x, right?
Yeah, like I'm bullish on that chart. Like this is a bottom on the Bitcoin Sol pair probably. But what does that imply for our fiat denominated pricing? Like obviously you had bear market, right? So that's one scenario, but contextually, does it make sense? Not really. Fed was hiking rates, liquidity was leaving. It was a bear market year, whatever. It doesn't make sense contextually. So the last time we bottomed was basically when SOL was created, I guess. So take it with a grain of salt. But last time you bottomed, it was in a halving year before a complete face ripper. So I don't know. It doesn't look crazy similar. I had to put it in log so you could even see it, and it's hard because SOL wasn't even this was when SOL was literally created. So
yeah, but again, that's Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's outpacing SOL there.
I know. That's what I mean. Like Bitcoin outpaces SOL, right? From where's my fucking, August of 2020 until December of 2020, where you're chopping. Let's just zoom in a little bit. What are we doing?
And if SOL did front run, like a lot of people do believe, right? Like they do believe that SOL front ran the market.
Let's add total 3.
Then this thesis would make sense that SOL will probably do the same numbers as Bitcoin from here. Maybe a little more, right? Maybe a little more. But
I think it's hard to argue that SOL is going to continue to be the leader.
Yeah, but I guess
that's why I'm confused, right? Because SOL ETH looks terrible. ETH Bitcoin looks kind of good. It's either like Bitcoin and SOL are gonna go down more than ETH, or ETH is about to be the new barometer for risk in the market.
Like I think it is, Tommy. I think it is, because you're not gonna have. I don't think you're gonna have the same meta the whole cycle of SOL leading everything for 18 months straight. Like I think now that you got an ETH ETF, I'm pretty sure Barry's almost out of ETH to sell, and there's going to be a passive bid for ETH that affects the price more than the ETF does for Bitcoin, even with less inflows. Like you're kind of set up, and ETH is down 50%, whatever. Like the timeline was super bearish ETH. I feel like the deck is stacked in ETH, like in the favor of ETH right now to possibly lead.
I would say this too. Like I think that looking at this and looking at your risk barometers, like Ethereum has the higher scenario, higher beta play here. Just by the way that SOL is stacking against Bitcoin, and I think that SOL Bitcoin will probably move at a similar pace. If we're in agreement that ETH Bitcoin is bottomed and Bitcoin SOL looks bottomed, then in that scenario, Bitcoin and SOL should move at similar pace. Ethereum should outpace both, and we see some kind of like meta shift. The other thing I want to say too, and I think a lot of people don't think about this, is you always have to shift the narrative. You have to shift the narrative. You have to shift the interest. You have to shift the market to do what? To keep people interested. Do you think everybody's going to want to keep playing the same song and dance? Once everybody gets the rhythm down, everybody's dancing the same way. You don't want that. You want the rhythm to be off, because that's how you have an advantage or an edge as a market maker. So you have to keep shifting the narrative. And I think like shifting the narrative to a new layer one, potentially Ethereum, not really new, but just shifting it to one that hasn't really had a lot of attention. And then shifting the narrative to maybe wink, wink, as I've discussed many times, utility could really throw people off, right? The people that are sitting in shitcoins then rotate capital. They start to move back into the utility, the belief stage, and then you move back to shitcoins later on to screw them all up again. So that could definitely be a scenario. At least in the short term, I would say Ethereum looks more bullish than most of these. And Solana, Bitcoin probably move at the same pace. And then maybe later on we see a shift again where Solana takes the front seat again later on. But I don't see right now where Solana can outpace Bitcoin specifically by the Bitcoin Solana chart.
I mean, dude, look at this. Like, you basically hold on. This is nice, guys. This is nice. Where did that break out? You had SOL BTC, and I don't know if everyone can see this perfectly, but let me just.
No, hey, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Bitcoin SOL chart literally just trending sideways, which means that Bitcoin and SOL are moving at the same pace.
It front ran. Okay, so you got SOL BTC, Bitcoin, and Total 3, and the Total 3 chart looks kind of terrible because I don't know why, but you had sold Bitcoin bottom, and then break out on October 20th. You didn't get Bitcoin to break out until October 20th. So October 5th, it led by like 3 weeks, basically, right? Sold Bitcoin breaks out above the highs. Bitcoin doesn't break out above the highs until 3 weeks later. I mean, this is your golden bull market, right? Total 3 kind of same thing. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that we want to see still BTC break out to the upside aggressively. And this is what kind of we've all been saying is like, I agree. We need a Bitcoin dominance led rally, right? Like we need a last final pop in this, and
Didn't
then
we hit
go.
60? I thought we hit 60.
Nah, we hit 58 almost.
I gotcha. Yeah,
Not
apparently
58.
Into the Cryptoverse is Ben is calling for 60.
He wants 60.
Oh.
He's wanted 60 forever.
Yeah,
We're gonna get
it may or may not come. But
we're gonna get 60. It's just gonna, I think it's gonna come in a way that it's like people who predicted it are also gonna be in pain because it's gonna take a period of time. Like,
it's taken a long time.
Super cycle things. These are super cycle things. It's gonna take a while for Bitcoin dominance to peak out in the cycle. And then when it does that, you're probably gonna see the biggest alt season that we ever had. But the longer it takes for Bitcoin dominance to top out, the more bullish it's going to be for altcoins when it inevitably does top. I think that's maybe the bit that people are losing. You'd rather Bitcoin dominance be in a longer uptrend than just break down right now, because your altcoin cycle will be bigger if you see more liquidity flow into Bitcoin, that slower uptrend on Bitcoin dominance. Because when that does break down, like if it breaks down and Bitcoin's trading at 5 trillion market cap, think about that alt season versus if Bitcoin's trading at 1 trillion. It's a very different story that we're talking about. So I do think that locally Bitcoin dominance will probably pull back a little bit, but over the next, I really don't think Bitcoin dominance will top for at least another year or two. And then we see a massive, unfathomably large rotation into altcoins. And, we'll see what the trending sectors are when that happens. Is it going to be memes? Is it going to be VC scams, fundamental coins, whatever? But I do think that Bitcoin dominance is in a multi-year uptrend that will probably top out at like 60 to 65%.
Yeah, if you look at this too with BTCD, it's almost like it's completely different, right? It's completely different than
nothing like this.
Yeah. If you look at the previous cycle, like look at 2018, look at how hard those spiked, right? It spiked up really hard on dominance and then cooled down, and spiked up really hard on dominance and cooled down. Now we're starting to see that slow, methodical move to the upside, and it's just taking forever for Bitcoin to gain that dominance that it did have. That's just the resistance of Bitcoin against altcoins right now. The altcoins have just taken such a significant, front running of this market that Bitcoin has been struggling to get attention from the market, right? BTCD is showing that. It's showing that Bitcoin has been struggling. And so it's been slow and methodical, but when Bitcoin gets its big breakout, you'll know by BTCD. It will rip. And then when it rips, look for that big cooldown. I completely agree on that. I think that not enough people are looking at the stair step pattern that's forming, that's kind of turtling up, and that's usually a compression move for a big explosion, right? A big explosion, and that's what I would wait for. It's just like these markets. The markets move in the same way. All of your markets top around 2 to 3 months and then roll because you get that big pop.
I think Bitcoin dominance is somewhere in 2019. Like if you just overlay Bitcoin dominance's previous bottom from 2018 on the current cycle, there are a lot of similarities. It's just more elongated. And I really think that that's what you're probably going to see continue to play out, just an elongated version of the previous cycle.
Where do you think we're in 2019?
I think we're you see the double bottom we had in 2018 on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to draw a fractal from the double bottom and overlay it onto the current structure, we're kind of just doing the exact same thing, more or less, but just stretched out.
Where?
Yeah, so just like stretch that out. It's going to be a pain because indexes are
to the right
difficult
more.
to fractal, but like.
So like, where is the grind up? Like there?
You're gonna have to stretch it. You're gonna have to stretch it more.
Stretch it more.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Super cycle, Tucker.
Where do I put the bottom though? Here or here?
Put it on the like the big spike, I guess. That would probably make not that far, but the big spike in
the spike to the middle of the range at the bottom.
Or like that?
Yeah.
That.
But then
draw it higher.
Up and to the right. Yeah.
Perfect, right there.
Yeah, about there.
That's more or less where I kind of think we are. I don't know if we go into 2030, but like
that would be interesting. I'll tell you this, man. Like that would be really like if we play this out and then come back down to like 44, 49 as support, and then for this next bear market, and then go back into a new cycle and Bitcoin takes a front seat and gets back up to like 70% dominance, I would be surprised. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not even gonna try and say this is in my cards of things that I think will happen, but it would be very interesting and throw me off a bit. But I can tell you this, times like what we're seeing right now, these are times when it's tough, especially with altcoins. It's tough to really kind of bid these things because you're just like, man, they're never gonna come back. The stock market has more interest, crypto has none. Every time I've been in that position, I can tell you this, third cycle, every time I've been in that position, it's probably been my best buying opportunity. When I think that there's no point in even playing around in this market, I should just go back to stocks and just hang out in stocks because stocks are making so much more money. I never would have had a better buying opportunity than that. And we've shown that. If you can, could you kick the chart over me real quick, Tucker?
Yeah. Do you see that though? That could be topped out locally, but
I think we're topping locally on dominance, and you're going to pull back on it over the next few weeks.
Like these are the toughest. These are the toughest times, guys. Like right in here, right. This is the toughest time to be trying to buy. This is the toughest time, and I'm just using this because you have to be able to identify lows. This again, it's the toughest time to try to buy. Like these are the hardest times to tell yourself this is where I should be bidding. They really are. And I want to point this out just because I know we're getting close on time. And I want you guys to really kind of keep this image, ingrain this image in the back of your head. It's hard to buy here. It is really hard to buy here. It's hard to say that this is a good spot to be looking to buy. It's hard to say that this could be the bottom or couldn't be the bottom. But ideally, you're looking for a bottom to be formed. And you're thinking bigger picture if you're looking to really make money here. Day-to-day trading, it works, but it doesn't work. And, this investment strategy more towards cycle tops is a much better way to approach this market. I'm not saying 8 is the future. It's not the point. I'm trying to show you the chart and how to identify these lows and be able to say, okay, this is a safe place to put money. Look at my potential upside here. And then, take that as a swing bet on the market that, this is probably ideally where you should be looking to get in. We come in here daily trying to give you guys, great outlooks on the market and great insight on what we're seeing. And I'm telling you, I think that the altcoin market is bottomed. I think there's really good opportunity out there. So I just wanted to throw this up to show you guys that.
Yeah.
I think too, it's like a product of these, at least when Bitcoin dominance went to 40%, I mean, it's a pretty specific set of conditions when you look at liquidity and global macro that led to that occurring. So what we're seeing with Bitcoin dominance going higher doesn't have to mean that altcoins aren't going to outperform, because we've already seen over the last year and a half, that's not really the environment that crypto has been in. Altcoins have performed amazingly well, and altcoin open interest hit all-time highs earlier this year. It's just you kind of have to be better about what you're picking, right? Like you can't just throw a bunch of darts randomly and everything is going to go up in the same way as 2021. You do have to have a little bit of that stock pickers mentality. And this is something that we were talking about back in like 2022. And I remember it because, you know, one of the themes of like the 60s, 70s, and 80s was that the stock market versus inflation was basically flat or lost over multiple decades. But you still had these pockets of stocks and assets that drastically outperformed benchmarks and drastically outperformed the indices. So I don't really think that, I mean, crypto's probably in that phase right now where you just have to be a little bit more particular as far as what you're picking. But if you're picking the right things, you're going to outperform to a pretty substantial degree.
Yep. With that being said, we're at hour and 40.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good time to be wrapping up. We cooked up a storm for you guys. I haven't checked the like button. I'm going to trust that you guys are hitting the likes. We would be very appreciative if you could slam the like button on the way out. That we did cook for over an hour and a half today, so it was a pretty long show. But I always like to say on Mondays we like to cook probably more so than any other day, just because we've all just been sitting on opinions like all weekend. Because I'm sure I'm not any different than a lot of you. Where for me, just being comfortable is kind of just watching TV on my couch. I maybe go out once on a weekend, but I'm mostly still pretty plugged into the charts and the markets because it's entertaining and it's kind of just enjoyable. But that's enough yapping for me, guys. We got a few housekeeping measures before we can officially wrap up. A reminder that we have launched our official hedge fund, BB Wealth Management. We are SEC certified, and we specialize in digital assets in a way that takes into account their asymmetric history for upside returns while balancing also the investment risk posed in any market. So if becoming an accredited investor or an LP is something that interests you, we do have more information linked in the description of this video. Just reach out to us via email. We will try to get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. Of course, we also have the BB Academy, which has been around for, I want to say about 4 or 5 months now, but I mean, there have been quite a few of you that have reached out to us and given us some great feedback on the Academy. So not only do we have the Academy, but Max also just released a free course for you guys as well on top of that. So make sure to check that out. For my money, it's the best course that you'll be able to find within crypto. You get to learn from the entire team, how we approach markets, how we analyze charts, and how we trade. And I think being able to learn from so many different people in so many different ways is an invaluable, it's honestly invaluable part of the course. So I would once again recommend that. We do have more information linked on the BB Academy below in the description, of course. Soon, we also have another product coming out, guys, and that is the BB Terminal. We are stoked to bring that to you guys. Obviously, we've shown some snippets on previous market checks. The goal is for it to be an all-encompassing trading tool for you guys to use on a daily, mid time frame, and high time frame basis. So we've worked really hard on it on the back end, and I'm really excited to see it come to life, right? And I think you guys are going to love it too. We put a lot of effort into it, like I said, and a lot of different tools and analysis has kind of been incorporated into the building and, of course, the final product. But yeah, of course, to touch on our programming here before we officially wrap up, though, guys, Market Check will be back for another episode tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys already know the deal. If you're a regular, we are live every Monday through Friday whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. We also have Market Talk, hosted by the legendary King Wabi. That is a Twitter Spaces, kind of like a fireside chat. It will take on very much a flavor based on who the panelists are. So if you're looking for a little bit of a fix here to end your day, Market Talk is the perfect way to spend your afternoon, especially if you enjoyed Market Check. But that's it from us, guys. We appreciate you as always for tuning in, smashing the like button. Let's see how we ended up finishing. 275 likes. I like it, guys. I like it.
Not bad.
Yeah, you guys, shout out to you guys for showing up as well. I mean, these market conditions are not necessarily super favorable. So yeah, that is it from us. But as always, thank you guys so much again, and stay safe.